All right, hey everyone. Oh, excuse me. Hey everyone, welcome to our live stream today. So today we're going to be going over hammer-ons and pull-offs. So we're going to look at how to do hammer-ons, how to do pull-offs, how to put them together, how to put them together into your improvising, and then we'll try and take some time to look at a small part of a solo, maybe two solos. We'll see how much time we have that use hammer-ons and pull-offs, especially hammer-ons and pull-offs all in sequence. So let's go ahead and take a look. And actually, before we do that, just wanted to remind you that if you're in the chat, you can go ahead and put any questions you have about what we're going over today. Just let me know what you want me to take a look at or what you want me to go over extra, or if you have any questions about anything, or if there's any other things that you're working on, that you're practicing with in your guitar and you want to take a look at here in our masterclass, in our workshop today, you can let me know that. And if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and put your questions in the comment section, and then I'll still look at them and see them, and then I'll be sure to kind of address them in a future, I almost said podcast, in a future live stream. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's just look at hammer-ons and pull-offs, just isolation first. So hammer-on, we'll start with that. This one is actually just like it sounds. So we're just going to do a hammer-on here. So we're just going to do first fret to second fret. You're going to play the first note with your pointer finger, and then you're going to play the second note with your middle finger. And so what makes it a hammer-on is your finger that's hammering on is literally like a hammer. So your middle finger, pretend it's actually like a hammer that's going to hammer down like it's hitting a nail. So you're not pushing, but you're just literally coming down hard and hammering just like a nail. So you're going to do something like this. So you can see the finger there, middle finger, second finger, it's literally just like a hammer. So you're not like pushing the string, you're literally, feel like you're hammering a nail. Like there's a nail right next to the fret you're aiming for, and you're just hammering it down. And so you want the notes to sound equal and even. So the first note and the second note. So you don't want the second note to be too quiet. Well, that's way too quiet. Yeah, if you don't get it nearly hard enough, you won't even hear it. But yeah, so you don't want it like that, or like that where it kind of buzzes out, or where you barely hear it. You want to really be able to hear that second note. It's almost as if you're plucking both notes, because this is really a legato technique, which is basically where you're getting the sound of playing two different notes, but you're doing it smoothly, which is what legato means. So you're just doing it picking one time. So here, I'll just back up for a minute so you can see that. So we're actually only picking once. And so that's what makes it smooth and fast, because then you can do it a lot quicker than and easier than having to go pick, do two picks. And that comes in really handy when you put a bunch together, especially hammer-ons and pull-offs. You can get a lot more notes in sequence, all smooth together with less picking in your right hand. So that's one of the main advantages to using hammer-ons and pull-offs. So that's what you want, is that hammer-on, like that, okay? And so you can do hammer-ons all kinds of places. That's pointer to middle. You can also do pointer to ring. So let's try some of those. So same thing, you play the first note, and you keep the first finger down. I didn't say that before, but when you do this other one, you can see you're keeping your first finger planted. So you're not switching. You're keeping the first finger planted when you hammer. Same thing when you go first finger to third finger, or the first to the ring. So you keep the first finger planted. And then again, it's just like a hammer, hammering down. And when it comes down, just like when you're playing individual notes, how you want to have your ring finger next to the fret. So it's the same thing. When you're hammering on, you want to hammer down right next to the fret. If you get too far, then you mute it out. If you get too far over here, depends on how good your guitar is. If you have a nice guitar, it can still sound good. But the further away you get from the fret, the more likely it is it's going to buzz a little bit, right? So the closer you play to the fret, the cleaner it's going to be. And the less force you actually need to hammer down and get a clean sound. That's right next to the fret. Okay, so that's the hammer-on. You can try that on a lot of different strings. You'll notice it feels different in different strings. Like if you do a 6th string goes a little thicker, so you got to kind of hammer it down a little bit more. But basically, you just try it out on different strings. You do a little exercise where you do pointer to first, or sorry, pointer to middle, first to second finger, going up, and you can do middle to ring is not as important because those hammer-ons actually don't happen as often. The most common ones are pointer to middle, and then here pointer to ring. Okay, so those are the most common ones that I would just focus on the most. Okay, so those are the hammer-ons, and then we're going to look at pull-offs, which is the opposite there. Okay, so we're going to look at pull-offs. So when you're doing a pull-off, the name of pull-off, sometimes it can be misleading a little bit, because sometimes, like let's do pointer middle. When people think pull-off, sometimes they literally think you just pull your finger off. You just pull off your finger. But you don't want to just pull your finger off, because if you do that, you can hear what happens. You barely even get the second note. Because all that's happening is this note is being played, but when you pull your finger off, you're just kind of letting it go, and there's nothing else happening. What you want to happen is you want to hear the second note that the pointer finger is. So literally what you actually have to do is pluck it. I'm going to kind of show you what that's like. You're actually plucking the string. I'm kind of doing it extra hard and loud just to make the point. But see how my middle finger is actually plucking the string? That's what you want. See, now when you do that, you can really hear that second note. Okay, so then when you're doing a pull-off, feel like you're actually plucking the string off. And the motion is you pluck it down, and your finger comes off. Okay, and then you can do the same thing, ring to pointer. And same thing, the ring finger is pulling off. It's actually like plucking the string. Try and get you as close as you can to really see. You're not just pulling your finger off, you're actually plucking the string. I'll really kind of exaggerate it just for a minute. See? So you don't need to do it that much. That's just so you can kind of see to make a point. But that's what your finger is doing. It's actually plucking off the string. So the same thing like you did with hammer-ons, you can do with pull-offs. That sounds very interesting. A little interesting exercise. But you can do that going up. And those are the fingers I would emphasize the most. You can do the middle and ring if you want. Those ones don't come up that often, so I wouldn't really worry about that. Usually, you're going to, most of the time, need pointer and middle and pointer and ring. You can use pointer and pinky comes up too. And you can work on those too. Those are important too. But I would say, for sure, make sure you get pointer and middle and then pointer and ring. Those are the ones that you definitely want to rely on. You use those most often. Okay, so now that you got pull-offs and hammer-ons together, now before that you've got them separate, let's put them together. So, we're going to do the same thing like we started with. You're going to do a hammer-on, but then you're going to pull off right after that. So you're going to try a hammer-on, and then pull off. And just to back out for a minute so you can see, we're only picking the first note. Okay, so this is where it's getting really legato, because we're going to get 1, 2, 3 notes by only picking one note. So 3 for the price of 1. Okay, so that's what we're doing, only picking the first note. And then you're going to hammer on the second note and then pull off the third note. And you want to just make sure that each note is exactly the same velocity or the same loudness. So you want them to all be clear. It's almost as if it sounded like you were picking each note. That's when I'm actually picking each note. So you want it as similar to that as you can. Right here, each note equal loudness. And with all these techniques, with the hammer-ons and the pull-offs, you want to do them just like everything, like we always say in all our live streams. You want to do everything really slow when you're learning it. There's no need to go fast, and actually trying to go fast at the beginning is just not going to work. It's going to make it take longer, and it's going to make your technique not be very good. So you want to do it slow on purpose at first to get it right. Do it really slow, but really good. A really good hammer-on, nice and clean, a really good pull-off, nice and make that be your exercise. Do it on the first string, do a bunch on the second string, and so on. You can just go up the strings, and you can do the same thing with the first and the ring finger. Hammer on, pull off. Hammer on, pull off. Hammer on, pull off. Then you go up the strings. Okay, make that into your exercise. So just get really good at those. Okay, and then once you're good at those, then you can start trying them in your improvising and your lead playing, your soloing. So basically, legato technique, whether that's hammer-ons and pull-offs or slides, basically what you're doing is you're kind of playing what you would have normally played, but you're just adding some different sounds and spice and different ways of expressing yourself. So like if we're going to go, say we're on the C sharp minor scale. So if you're going to play a little idea, you could go like this. Actually, sorry, let me play it this way first. So that's with all picking. I'm just actually back up a little bit so you can see that. So that's all just picking. Pick, 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 pick. That's one way to play it. If you do alternate picking, you can kind of get it kind of fast. But it adds something when you do that last two notes as a hammer-on. So you try doing that. You play a little idea, but then add a hammer-on in there. So you play the same notes, but make the last note, the last two notes from here to here, change that into a hammer-on. Since you're going up, because hammer-on, always goes up from one lower note to a higher note. Okay, so that just adds some nice sound there. And you could try doing that with pull-offs. So here's just where you pick everything. But you could try doing that with a pull-off. Try pulling off the first and the second notes. So you play the first note, pull off is the second note, and then play the last two notes. So when you do it that way, you just get a different sound instead of, it's almost a little bit too straight and robotic almost. Da, 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 da. But when you do this, it's like da, 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 instead of da, da, da. It's kind of a little bit smooth, slidey feel. And when you do that, you can go faster too. It's a little bit easier to go fast instead of trying to pick that. Right? Because when you're trying to pick that, you got to do two things. You got to pick down and pick up. And it's hard to do that motion super fast. I mean, you could practice getting that fast, but it's easier to do the left hand faster. That's easier than it. And it just has a smoother sound. So when you're playing a little idea, try adding hammer-ons instead of do a hammer-on. Instead of going down just by playing the notes, just by picking the notes, you can do pull-offs. And then when you get good at hammer-ons and pull-offs, or when you're feeling more comfortable with it, you can add in more of them. Instead of just changing one or two notes, you can add in a whole bunch of them. So I played one note with hammer-on, played another note with hammer-on, played another note with hammer-on. So you can see that makes it easier to kind of go up the scale or do little ideas. Instead of, you could do it that way too. It has its own kind of cool sound, but it's really smooth when you go. It's a little bit easier to go fast. So there's some pull-offs there. Pull-off, pull-off. You could do a pull-off to a hammer-on at the end there. So basically, these whatever ideas you would have, just change them into hammer-ons and pull-offs. Whenever you're going up to a higher note, just make it be a hammer-on. Whenever you're going to a lower note, try changing it to a pull-off. That's just a simple way you can start adding hammer-ons and pull-offs into your improvising. And then let's go ahead and let's take a look part of a song, part of a solo in a song that has hammer-ons and pull-offs all together. So we're going to do a little bit of solo from The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. And we're going to mainly focus on the first part that has the hammer-ons and the pull-offs. So, let's add that next part too. Okay, so that's just the very first part of that solo. So we're just going to only do, we'll see how much we can get through, but we'll try and get through that first main part that has the hammer-on and pull-off run. So the first part is, so you can see that's kind of like what we were doing in that little exercise. So this one's got, you pluck the first note, pick the first note, hammer on to the second note, pull off back to the first note, and then that's kind of like the exercise we did. But then you're also going to pull off that last note. This is a little bit different kind of pull off, where you're not pulling off to another finger like these ones. You're actually just pulling off the last finger to an open string. And those ones are a little tricky because you still want to get that motion where you're pulling down on the string. Right? You're still kind of plucking it off. But the tricky part is you don't want to hit the string below it, because then you get an extra note you don't want. So you want to pull down and pluck it, but miss that ring, or miss that first string. Okay? So that takes some practice to do that, but you can get it with practice. So you're going to go pick the first note, hammer on, pull off, pull off. And so first you just do it really slow, as slow as you need to. You can just try it over and over. And then you can work it with a metronome, starting slow and then gradually work it up until you get it kind of smooth and fast. Okay? And those are 16th notes, which means you want the rhythm to go like 1 E and then when it's faster, 1 E and but it's still that same 4/16th note. Okay? So that's the first little part of the solo. And then the next part is that part there. So now it's the same thing, but now we're on the third string and we're going pointer to ring finger. But you're still doing the same kind of pattern where you're picking the first note, hammering on to the second note, pulling off back to the first note, and pulling off that last note to the open string, to the open G string. Okay, so same thing, you practice it really slow, pick the first note, hammer on, do a good pull off, and then that last pull off again, it's the same kind of thing like the one before, where you're still trying to kind of pull down, kind of pluck the string, but try not to hit that string below it. Okay, and you're trying to get them all even, the best you can, trying to get all even loudness. So it's almost as if you were picking each one. Pick, pick, oh, pick, 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 pick. So you're trying to get each one even. And again, you do it really slow as you need to, with the metronome, 16th notes again. So this is the second beat, so it's like 2, E, and okay, and then you can kind of put those together. 1, E, and 2, E, and okay. So when it sounds faster, you really recognize the solo. When it sounds slow, like a lot of songs, when you play it real slow, you might not recognize it, but you definitely got to practice it slow to learn it, and then you can gradually build it up, and then you'll start to hear how it sounds like in the song. So that's the first part. It's those two hammer-on, pull-off combos. So we got the same exact thing, but now we're just over here on a different spot in pointer and middle finger again. So now you're going to play the first finger on the 4th string, on the 4th fret. So it's an F sharp there. You're going to hammer on to the note on the next fret over, to the G, and you do the same kind of pattern. So you're doing pick the first note, hammer on to the second note, pull off to the second note, pull off to the open string. Okay? This one, we'll look at the rhythm in a minute. The rhythm's a little different, but that's the same pattern. Pick, hammer on, pull off to the open string. And same thing, since you're pulling to an open string, still trying to kind of pick it like that, like you're plucking it. Oh. you're trying your best not to hit the string below it. So you got okay. So the rhythm on that one is a triplet rhythm. So instead of 16th notes where it's like 4, like 1 E and a 2 E and a, like these ones 1 E and a 2 E and a, this one's a 16th note triplet for the first 3 notes. So it's like 1 and a. So you kind of like 1 and 3 notes in one spot. And then you have the last note after that. So that's what's a little bit different about the rhythm on that one. You can listen to the song to really try and get it, and but you just got this triplet. So you got 3 notes, 1, 2, 3, or 1 and then the last note, 1 and 2. So this is a little bit different sound. Oh no, sorry, I'm looking. I wasn't on the right part here. I was thinking of a different part. This part actually is 16th notes. Sorry about that, guys. So 16th notes, and this one's 16th notes too. I was thinking of the next part coming up. Yeah, so all 16th notes. So still 3 E and so they're all even. Okay, so that's the first part, and then next part there's no hammer-ons or pull-offs. Just pick both notes. You pick 4th fret on the 5th string, and then 5th string open. So 4th fret and then open. So that's that first bar there. So you got a whole bunch of hammer-on pull-off combos, kind of challenge you and have fun with, and then you get a little break there for a minute with that part. You just pick both those notes. Okay, so that's that part. And when you put it together, you can start recognizing the solo, but don't try and jump to that. It won't work. I know it's so tempting to just jump super fast and get right ahead to trying to play it fast, but it'll just take you forever and you won't ever really learn it that way. You won't learn it well. So just do it real slow. Kind of got to train yourself to just do it really slow with the metronome, slow as you need to, and then build it up with the metronome. Okay, and then the next part, this is the part I was actually thinking of that has the triplet. So this one, it's the same as a couple beats earlier where you're doing 4th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret, and then open with the picking the first note, hammer on, pull off, pull off. But instead of 4 notes, 4 16th notes in all in one spot, you have a triplet, which means there's 3 16th notes. So you're going to count like 1 and then the open note. 1 and 2. So just a little subtle difference. Okay, so you can listen to the song to really try and get the rhythm, but the counting is like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and 1 and okay, all right. So that's the first part of that, the intro. So we'll just kind of leave it there so we can get to a little bit on the next solo. We can see something kind of similar too. So that's the Jimmy Eat World in the middle. And then our another solo we're going to look at is a really awesome song by Boston from the 70s, More Than a Feeling. We're going to look at the solo from that song, just part of the solo, mainly looking at the hammer-on pull-off combos. So it starts off, it's got this open A chord. Probably just go just to there, not any further than that, because that's got plenty of those little hammer-on pull-off combos to look at. So the first part's pretty simple. You just strum the A chord, and you do 6th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, all on the 3rd string, and then 1st fret, 2nd string on the 7th fret. Okay, so none of that is hammer-ons, so that's just all picking the notes. Okay, then comes the hammer-on pull-off combo. And you can see it's just like these ones we've been doing earlier, where we're going to do the pointer to the middle. And let's get down here a little bit so we can see a little bit better. Okay, so it's the same kind of thing. You're picking the first note, pointer finger, hammer on, middle finger, pull off, back to the pointer finger. Okay, so we were looking at those exercises earlier, but if you want, and actually this is actually a much more efficient way to practice, instead of just doing exercises, take actual songs and practice the parts of the songs that apply to whatever you would have been doing with an exercise, and then make that part of the song an exercise. So instead of just doing a bunch of those in an exercise, well, since this song, oops, since that's part of the song, go ahead and just practice that, because you'll be practicing your hammer-on pull-off combo, but you'll also be learning that part of the song. So I think that's the best way to learn, is just by making your techniques and exercises be parts of songs that you're learning as much as you can. So, okay, so that's how it comes in. A chord. And actually, let's get the rhythm right. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Okay, let's try that one more time. So you have the, right after the 8th fret, that's when you do that hammer-on pull-off. So 7, 7, 8, pull-off. Hammer-on pull-off. And it's a triplet again. So you got 1 and 2 and 3, and trying to get 3 notes in that spot there. Da, da. Okay. Just kind of play it slow a few times so you can hear the rhythm. And after that hammer-on pull-off, you have the 9th fret and then the 7th fret on the 3rd string. You practice it slow just like you do on everything, and then when you get it fast, with the metronome, then it'll start to sound like the solo, but always start slow. Okay, and then let's see, and then the next part, we won't look too much at this part because it's not what we're focusing on in this workshop, but it's got some pull-up, I almost said pull-ups. It's got some bends in there, and release, and bend and release. So you're just doing the 8th fret, and then you're doing a full step bend. So 8th fret, full step release, full step release, full step release. Okay, so if you're not sure about bends, go ahead and watch the live stream about bends, the replay about bends, but we won't focus on that this time. So, okay, and then here comes the next. So you can hear it's the same rhythm actually, which is kind of cool in this solo. It's got the same rhythm each time. It's got that triplet. 1 and actually that one was the 3rd beat. 3 and then this one's the 4th beat. 4 and Okay, so in this one, it's the pointer finger to the ring finger on the 5th and 7th fret, and you're going pointer, ring, pointer. Pick the first note, hammer on, pull off. And you just practice that, and again, you can make that part of your exercise. Okay, so we'll just play it through that part we did real slow so you can see how it goes. So that's that second part. Forward. That's the first one. That's the second one. Pointer middle, pointer finger. Okay, there's another one there, but I think we'll probably have to stop there. That's about our time for today. But if you want to try out the rest of that solo, if you grab the tab for that solo, you'll find that it's got all of those same kind of hammer-ons. It's really just got these ones, and they're in the same spot each time too, for the most part. That one you hear a lot, and then this one you hear a lot. And there's one other one at the end where you go, and then that one's also pointer ring. And at the very end, pointer middle again. So you can see that's why I was emphasizing pointer and middle and pointer and ring. Those ones come up a lot, so it's really good to get those ones down. All right, so thanks everyone for joining us for this workshop today. If you thought this workshop was helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And again, if there's anything you had questions about or anything you want to see covered in a future workshop live stream, go ahead and put that in the comment section. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the next one and have an awesome time practicing. See you later.